cruelty is always wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is something that I think we tend to forget. We live in an age of instrumentality, of utilitarianism. And that's,
we have a mind of metal and wheels?
We
Is
do.
that what you're saying?
I think we do. And I think it becomes very easy to sort of say, what's that terrible phrase? Well, if you want an omelet, you got to break some eggs.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's great if you want to make an omelet, but human beings are not eggs.
Good.
And if we are breaking people to get what we want, perhaps what we want is not what we should want. Or perhaps we should go about it a different way. Cruelty should never be part of our process.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we need to come to grips with better in our current culture.
Maybe there are some things we shouldn't have.
Exactly.
You know, there is such a thing as forbidden wisdom.
Yeah.
And both Narnia and Lord of the Rings are places where people that breach that taboo and seek, the White Witch found the secret of the deplorable word that would destroy everything, right? And she said, I paid a terrible price to get it. Even Uncle Andrew said his hair went gray, seeking after these secrets he shouldn't have known. And we see, Saruman and Gollum, right from the beginning, Gollum is seeking after a wisdom that is not meant for him. And it destroys him from the inside out.
Yeah.
So we have to be we have to be aware. What's the old thing? Beware what you wish for. You may have the misfortune to get it.
Exactly.
And we do see characters like that. I'm just Magician's Nephew is still for kids, and yet we can understand Jadis and Uncle Andrew, the two villains, are basically what Nietzsche would call an Übermensch, an overman. They think that the rules don't apply to them because they've got this charisma that allows them to rise above, beyond good and evil. And you see the same thing with a character like Saruman, especially.
Yeah.
But yet, how much do we need to be reminded of the Augustinian understanding that evil is spoiled goodness? Do you think we need to be reminded of that again?
Yeah, and I think we do. And this leads us into an interesting aspect of Tolkien's work, because sometimes people, they think about how Tolkien handles evil, how Lewis handles evil, and I think people can have a simplistic reading of The Lord of the Rings, where they think of Sauron in the Dark Tower at Mount Doom, and they think of it as being like, oh, evil, it's the bad guys versus the good guys. And of course, then I'm saying, have you actually read the book?
Yeah, that's right.
But it's very interesting. In an interview, Tolkien once said, I believe in absolute good, but I do not believe in absolute evil.
That's right.
And that's really significant. Right. And he goes on elsewhere to talk about the way that Sauron, he says Sauron is a toad. Sauron is nothing. Evil is ultimately hollow. It's empty. It's insubstantial. And I think it's no coincidence that when Barad-dûr is destroyed, when the ring is destroyed, we see this sort of shadow of smoke rise up and then blow away. All of Sauron's power turns out to have been an illusion.
When Saruman dies, same thing happens. Sharky, when Saruman dies,
it just disintegrates.
Disintegrates, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Tolkien is really giving us some images, some meaningful images of what evil really is. Evil is not power. Evil is not a thing.
Right.
It might be glamorous in some way, in the old understanding of glamour as in like a false show, but it can never be grand, it can never be real and substantial. Only goodness can be that. And Tolkien's examples of goodness, he talks about how evil can seem to be winning, but goodness will always be working quietly, maybe, seemingly insignificantly, but it will be working. And that, I think, takes us to a theme that I find really significant in Tolkien, and that's the theme of humility. And again, because we have kings, and we have Sauron, and we have wars and all that, sometimes people look at that, and I think the grandeur of the film adaptations can maybe shift people's attention. I do really like Jackson's films of The Lord of the Rings, but sometimes they can obscure the way that in the novel that Tolkien's really emphasizing the hobbits, because those are the real protagonists. They're the hobbits. And the hobbits are the weakest people in Middle-earth. They're not powerful warriors like Boromir or Faramir, they're not wise like Elrond or Gandalf. They're really genuinely weak, less knowledgeable, childlike, they've got nothing to contribute on a
Right.
kind of worldly level. And it's important to recognize that. It's not that they have actually, secretly they have these great abilities that will come
Right,
to the
right.
fore. No.
They're good at
really,
throwing rocks, but that's about
yeah, no, they've got, on the grand scheme of things, they've got nothing. And that's really important. And this ties in to Tolkien's fundamental understanding of the faith, because he even explicitly connects the humility of the hobbits to the humility of Mary, the Mother of God, who, in her, she's just a woman, and yet, God asks her to be the mother of his son, and she says yes. And she says, the mighty have done great things things for me. He has done great things for me, and I am the humble one. And that's what he sees in the hobbits, that they are the humble ones of the world, for whom the Lord is doing great things, and through whom the Lord is doing great things. And this humility is apparent from the beginning. We have the Council of Elrond, where Frodo steps up and says, I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. And he doesn't know the way. And he can't get there without help. And I think again and again, this comes back to Tolkien's understanding, that the Christian faith is one of reversals. In Mary's Magnificat, the mighty have been put down from their thrones, and he has raised up the humble and the meek. That's what we see in the hobbits. They are the humble, they are the meek, and they're the ones through whom Middle-earth is saved, but not by power of arms, not by wisdom, even not by their own strength of will. And this is a really important point at the end, a point that's often missed. Even Tolkien noted how many people missed it. Frodo fails.
He does fail, yeah, he loses.
Yeah, he fails at the end. He's broken by the power of the ring that he's borne for so long. And he takes the ring and he seizes it in his eye, I will not do this thing.
Yeah.
And he's saved, and Middle-earth is saved, because Gollum comes up and bites off his finger and falls in. And this is really the workings of Providence, because why is Gollum there?
Yeah.
Because earlier on, Frodo and Sam had the opportunity to kill him, and it would have been prudence.
Yes, and Bilbo, even before.
Yeah, and
You have three hobbits
Exactly.
who all give way to a good kind. Pity can be manipulative. This is a good kind of pity that doesn't. And
They showed
and
mercy.
Sam finds that pity because briefly he was a ring bearer, and he realizes it. And you remember Bilbo, when and he would have had every right to kill Gollum in The Hobbit, but he suddenly has this image of endless days without hope of betterment, cold, hard stone, cold fish, and he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
And perhaps the pity of Bilbo will rule the fate of many.
Exactly. And the thing is that on a worldly level, this is a stupid move.
Yeah,
because Gollum is
that's
trying
true.
to kill them.
Yeah.
But they're not motivated by worldly wisdom.
Yeah.
They're motivated by a sense of mercy, which is so important to Tolkien.
And their ability to forgive Gollum after he dies. Let
Yeah.
us just let him go.
Exactly.
Let
and
us not hate him.
And that ultimately is how Middle-earth is saved, through the exercise of mercy and pity and the workings of Providence. So here we have such a countercultural message, as it were. Like, no, it's not about power. Aragorn and all of his armies only serve as a distraction.
That's true. It's true at the end, yeah. They're waiting, will this happen? And yeah, I'm amazed every time that he fails, Frodo, and you've got the catastrophe. It's all building up to this sudden twist that you would never expect. And it works because every time you read the book, every time you see the movie, you're surprised again. And you're uplifted again, just like every time you read the gospel and you get to Easter Sunday and it's like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, it's a complete reversal. So even Satan is taken by surprise. And it's important, a lot of people don't get this clearly. The reason that their ploy works of taking the ring into Middle-earth to destroy it is because they know that Sauron cannot conceive that someone having the ring would not use it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the innocence, doesn't have the humility, cannot understand it. And that's why they're able to go right under his nose, because evil is ultimately blind.
Yeah, evil can never understand goodness.
Right, and Lewis says that too, literally. Evil, goodness understands good and evil understands nothing. And I love it, there's a really important word in the Gospel of John, and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not, well, the Greek word means to grasp, but it can be grasped with your hands, sees, or grasped with your mind. So you can say, but the darkness has not overcome it, or the darkness has not comprehended it. And I think with John that the obvious surface meaning is it can't overcome it. But I think the deeper meaning is darkness cannot even understand light.
If you think these conversations are valuable, would you do us a favor and please like this video and subscribe to this channel? When you do that, you help us get these conversations out to a wider audience by telling YouTube that people are interested in this. Also, you can go to SocratesInTheCity.com, sign up for our newsletter, and you can check back every week. There's new stuff here every week. Thank you for tuning in.